Back, everybody. We're going to be looking at the subject of change in today's assembly. A big change for all of us has been trying to understand and find a way to have a normal lifestyle whilst the COVID-19 crisis continues in the UK. It's important to keep a positive outlook, and with a mind to that, I'd like to take you through some of the changes that we've had at Oakwood School ready for you when we hopefully begin back in September. Many of you will have heard from other sixth form colleges about your placements, and I have been in touch with them over the period that we've been apart to sell you as best as I can to their directors of sixth form. Obviously, we need to think really carefully about how to operate the school while social distancing, and there's signage as well as new ways of thinking about doing things at school that I'd like you to consider. There's every intention that we open fully in September, so it's going to be on you, as well as all of the staff and everyone that works at the school and parents, to ensure that we stick to the rules of social distancing. And the government will be providing us with more details on that as we go further through the year. This does mean we have to be really, really cautious when it comes to giving pupils permission to be out of lesson during lesson time, but I'm sure you'll be able to raise your standards like everyone else has had to, and think carefully and responsibly about others. Many of you will already be familiar with the Oakwood Code, but one of the big changes that we've tried to implement is that we now think of how to apply that in what is now known as the Oakwood Way, where we are safe, we are respectful to all of the people that we meet in our daily lives, we follow instructions, and we work hard and we try our best. You'll notice that we still have the school motto of we drink, learn, we grow, which is going to remain, and we want you to think very, very carefully about how you can meet all of these 4 specific things for the Oakwood Way in your routine when you are at school and when you're travelling to and from the premises. We want to have a big focus on rewards because, as many of you will remember, when in the past we've tried to celebrate, it's been a little bit wanting, where you would like to see more positive news spread rather than talking about how many detentions somebody has got, which is part and parcel of school's work. However, let's reward people for feeling good, and I would like to see that yourselves and your teacher frequently having this dialogue where the work you've used or the conduct that you have carried yourself with has been worthy of merit and reward. One of the main things fed back to us as a staff was where pupils did not feel that the good they were doing was being recognised, and we would like to acknowledge that and say it as much as possible and as often as possible. And this will mean that your assemblies week to week will include a section on rewards by your new head of year. Being seen as school leaders, now that you are going to be in sixth form, will play a major part in how it appears to visitors and how you can conduct in a way that really inspires the pupils younger than you to contribute positively to school. One of the things that we frequently told was the movement around the school proved difficult. And in order to solve this, if you look at the map, we have an idea ahead of us that we'd like all of you to lead with. The stairwell in the blue corridor and the orange corridor will be used for going up and visiting floors 1 and 2. The main stairwell in the centre of the school will not be available for use for pupils. We would like you guys to use the stairwells at the corners of the school to ascend or descend. It's hopefully going to work in a way that means moving around the school does not lead to huge traffic black spots whilst we move around. There are signs in the stairwells indicating whether or not you need to go. If there isn't a sign, then clearly it's a corridor for you to be travelling down. And we want you to make sure that you have this absolutely clear in your minds before you start back. You will be reminded on your welcome back and your tour of the school. There is an expectation for your behaviour and your conduct everywhere you go. However, we feel the need to be really specific with you as to what our classroom expectations are going forward. Students will have to wait calmly with the teacher in the corridor to welcome them into the lesson. Continue to remain 2 meters apart. And this will mean that maybe you'll be queuing for a little bit longer, but it does, I hope, indicate to you that we still want to maintain the social distancing rules. Please greet your teacher as they greet you when you enter the lesson. It's positive behaviour, and it really does help to break some of the tension that you might have first arrived into class. Clearly, you're going to arrive and queue up calmly and quietly. That applies again when you actually go into the room to ensure that we get a nice, straightforward start to actual learning. The teacher will allocate students to a suitable seating following social distancing rules at all times. So the room might be laid out a bit more unusually than you're used to. It is part of the change that we expect you to deal with and adapt to. Your equipment, which is a new idea, should be placed onto the desk so that your teacher can see that you have it. It's unusual, it's change, but please meet our expectation. Lay out all of your equipment for that lesson onto the desk before you start. You'll then be completing the work that's been set for you using your best attitude, please, making sure that you have high levels of enthusiasm. You're actually engaged in learning rather than continuing conversation that should really have finished when you arrived to the classroom. The changes that you have to make your best attempt to adapt will take into account the fact that we've got very many member staff at the school, a total of 30. Yes, they're all new faces, and yes, they don't know you, but remember that first impressions usually last, and it would be imperative, very, very important, that you build positive relationships with all of the staff, including the new ones. At the start of the day, everyone will be gathering in the playground, and after break and after lunch with our teachers working calmly and quietly lessons. It's a little bit like the fire drill. It will be difficult if you aren't listening and if you aren't quiet. And it's key that we manage to do this while maintaining standards for social distancing. It is unusual. It is going to be strange, but I'm sure you will be able to raise your game and meet our expectations and lead as a model of good pupil behaviour. The detentions have changed. All of the detentions set to 1 hour so that you have an opportunity to be clear about what the actual sanction will be for whatever reason it's been given. There won't be any discussions for about whether it's a 20, half an hour or 45, etc., etc. But I hope this brings clarity for everybody, including parents. We are trying to change after feedback from parents as pupils. Seclusion has changed from D101 to B114 green section building, and be aware of that. One of the situations to rely upon is good conduct in the corridor, because that wasn't previously. We felt that the thing to do would be to move seclusion to a school where you don't have so many people walking past. Similarly, so this has moved from B103 near the canteen open space, B107, which is further down the corridor. Again, for the same reasons for moving seclusion, the amount of traffic past the bridge more often than not did not help. I hope you guys will be able to do that if you are using that facility, and even if you are not using the facilities there. School day is also going to change. We've been having a consultation about this, and the idea generally is to move the school day 8 minutes earlier so that we begin at 8:30 in the morning with and we end at 10 minutes to 3 in the afternoon, which will be good news for you who try to get stop before anyone else. And with that, we feel, to be fair to you, closing the school would actually be a bit, then it would be a hindrance. It's a way to move us forward at the end of the school day. Finally, it would be a mistake to not acknowledge some of the things that you see or on social media platforms regarding Black Lives Matter, regarding how people have felt towards the NHS, regarding the way they felt towards wearing face masks. One of the big issues that we have as a community is the ease we are able to be unkind to one another. And I'd like to remind you that one of the central tenets of my life is that you should be kind towards others. It's easy to be unkind. It takes moral attitude and the strength of character to be kind. And I would like you and meditate me on what I've said to you regarding the changes that they are different, but they will be much, much easier. We are being kinder and more understanding when we are queuing up or when we're meeting someone new, when we become familiar with a situation we are clearly unfamiliar with. The word unprecedented has been used so many times, the bit of the COVID crisis, since before Christmas, that people have forgotten what it really is. And the only way that we can move forward as a community is to look after each other, kind to one another, and we must, as we go forward and into the autumn term. It's important to remember a whole new cohort of year 7s coming into school. It would be wonderful if they could do that without having to think about who they're going to be with, etc. And on top of that, they have to try to do with distancing. So if we put ourselves in for a moment and try and think back to their experience better, that would be a massive service towards school. I've always been a firm believer if you are going to be helping others, that genuinely helps your own development, and it certainly helps your own. Finally, I'd like to mention Hassan, who has been nominated by me to be our Student of the Week. He has extremely hard in the time that we've been away from each other, everybody, to continue working, to continue a dialogue with the school and with his teachers. And he's been a real inspiration to me to make sure you are able to, that everyone has had difficulties to get through, and very hard to work towards what we as a coherent school plan. And I can only ask you each to keep trying. If you find something difficult, ask for help. I'm more than welcome. I'm welcoming emails that you would like to drop to me, and I'll try and reply to them as I can to support you. just say thank you, everybody. I've not done this particular type of thing before, so it's been a new experience. I hope it's not or too weird, and we can hopefully see my implementation of this new way of working as gone through the near. So it was wonderful being in touch with all of you. Please, and I look forward to showing you an assembly next week.